Hi everyone, welcome back to Chops Garage, and it's a retro day today. I've been buying some cars you probably haven't seen for an absolute donkey's age, and one I've fallen in love with quite badly for reasons that I'm not entirely sure of myself, to be honest. This has to be the best thing about doing this job full time now and having the YouTube channel. I just get offered cars all the time, buying cars from subscribers all the time, and I get offered some really interesting different stuff, and you just got to grab it, haven't you? Well, I'm sure a lot of you think I haven't just got to grab it. I should be focusing on different cars, but as I've always said, this has to be fun as much as anything. So what have we got? We've got a Renault 21 Savannah. When was the last time you saw one of these? I haven't seen one for a donkey's age. So how did this come about? Well, as always, I try and make as many contacts as I got. One good contact of mine is called Mark. He does a bit of scrap metaling, buys scrap cars, that kind of thing. But when he sees something a little bit different that's too good to scrap, luckily he always gives me a shout, lets me know what's going on. So with this car, it was, as always, stored in a barn. It was genuinely stored in a barn. I do live in Devon, so most stuff is stored in a barn. I've been off the road for absolutely ages, and then I think someone tried to MOT it, and the MOT failure needed welding, and I think at that point they've given up and just called in the scrap man. Now, like I said, luckily, rather than take it away and get it turned into a cube, Mark messaged me and said, "Is it of interest to you, James?" And initially I did make him an offer because I thought it was cool, but he wasn't having any of it, and we had to go back and forth 2 or 3 times until I had a few more beers on a Saturday night to agree a deal. And he said it was clean and tidy, but obviously all I got to see was one picture on a flatbed. I didn't really have any more information over that, and at the time it wasn't running either, so I really did take a punt on what was needed. But Mark's always been straight up with me. I've had a number of cars from him, and he said he thought it would run, because it had done initially when he got it onto the actual flatbed. It just was mucking about afterwards. So I don't know what he's done since, because every time I turn the key it's running. When he dropped it off it was running. I've moved it around the yard a few times and it's running. So yeah, Renault 21 Savannah. This is a 1.7 petrol in those days when engines were beautifully simple. We'll have a look at it in a minute. So it literally is just, it's fuel, I'm sure it's fuel injected, isn't it? 1.7. No turbos, no superchargers, no faffing around, just a 1.7. Lovely metallic blue. And it's all original. There's no sort of faffing around. We've got the original wheel trims. Everything on it is as it came out the factory. And it's really straight for a car that's been sitting for so long. It really is straight bodywork wise. There's bubbling on these trims underneath the rubber, which I don't know if you could ever even get those anymore or not. Just kind of causes them to bubble up. But actually along this side there isn't a lot at all. So scrape down the bottom there. All the paintwork around the front's good. All the headlights are nice and clear. All the bumpers are mercifully free of damage, because I imagine they'd be hard to get hold of. Wheel arches are really good. There's no real sort of blistering. There's a little bit of bubbling here underneath this trim, but that's really the only bit of bodywork on the sort of top half of the car. I love all this glass around the back, curves around here. It's a really cool look. Got the original sort of roof rails all there. The roof's all in good nick, there's no bubbling up there. So I think where we come into problems is the sills need welding. We've got, it's all crusty down here, so that's going to need doing. I think it's the same the other side. We've got some down here starting to bubble through down here. From the MOT test, I think there's some welding to be done near the seatbelt anchoring points underneath as well. But along this whole side here, there's next to, well, there is nothing at all really paint wise. Inside, also really good nick. I mean, needs a clean, smells a bit musty, but all the fabrics are pretty darn good in here. There's no holes or tears, and there seems to be very little in the way of sagging as well. That one door card's got a bit of sagging at the top, but the rest of it all seems really good. I guess there was a parcel shelf cover at some point, doesn't seem to be there now. We'll hop inside. There's a few cars getting back and forth. So inside, these buttons, they're very Spectrum-y, aren't they? Those indicators. I'm loving all this switch gear. It's fantastically retro. Look at the old tape cassette player. That's brilliant. All this is in great nick. It's got, all the colour is beautiful. It's really popping. A valet in here and a wet clean of the seats, and this thing would be looking absolutely mint inside. What's all your dials? 101,000. Everything lights up all right. And if we give it a start, there we go. I've been moving around some short distances. It could probably benefit from a little bit of run to get the battery power up a bit more. It's right idling high because I've got my great big boot stuck on the accelerator there. It's actually idling quite nicely. I guess it's got a little auto choke that's kicking in and bring it down a bit. But yeah, idle's all right. Got some old tax discs here. I don't know if we've got any old original, any paperwork. No, nothing in there, just some more old tax discs. I mean, there's no doubt this thing's going to need a cam belt. It's going to need a service. It's going to need new plugs. It's been sitting for an awful long time, but fair play to it to start and run like it is. Let's have a look under the bonnet. Look at it in here. You can actually get your hand in and do stuff. There's loads of room in here. Loads of room. You could change, you got the exhaust manifold at the back there. You can get all this changed without having to drop subframes and take out endless air boxes and looms and all that kind of stuff. It's wonderfully simple. That radiator looks in good nick. It's all dry. There's nothing here you couldn't change quite quickly and simply looking at it. It's all dry down here. I don't see any oil leaks or anything like that. Bulkhead all looks good. I don't see any rot taking hold there. God, look at that. Steering rack is just there. Be nothing to change that out. So yeah, we've got a pretty old air filter, oil filter down there. As I say, I'd be putting a cam belt on it before I did much with it. The auxiliary belts seem good. Look how easy it would be to change the alternator out on that. I can see why Mike up in Wales works on these kind of cars. Much simpler to work on. Haven't looked at how much coolant there is in it. I've not really run it for very long at all. But yeah, I think this is it's not a massively powerful engine, is it? I think they put about 80 horsepower or something like that. But I don't imagine this weighs a huge amount either. What else did they use these 1.7s from Renaults in? Am I right in saying they went in some of the earlier Volvos as well? Comment down below. Am I right in saying that? I think they've got a reputation for being quite tough, these, haven't they? If I recall correctly. And this boot, look how massive this boot is. Now I put a picture of this car up on TikTok, well, a little video on TikTok and some pictures up on Instagram. I've been bombarded with a load of people wanting to buy it actually, and a lot of them are like sort of surfy types, and I imagine this is quite a cool look locally, isn't it? Boards on top of this, then you can put the seats down and have a kip in the back. Who wants to drive around in a normal modern estate? Would you be potting around in this? So yeah, absolutely loving it, but I sold it immediately, which I'm regretting, of course. So it's going as spares and repair. The person that's purchased the vehicle knows that it needs welding and all that. They're getting a transport down here to take it away, so I can generally sell it spares and repair. But I'll probably never see another. I'll definitely regret selling it. There's something really cool about that. So what else have we got in? A Honda logo. When have you ever seen one of these? So this little logo is coming in part exchange from one of our subscribers. They took the Skoda Fabia estate away. I've had this for quite a long while. Again, I'd never seen a logo before. I'd sort of heard of them once before, but I've never actually had a chance to have a go in one or look round one. It's a wee little car, isn't it? Now this is a 2000. It's only done 47,000 miles. 47,000 miles, so super low mileage on it. It's in really quite good nick, to be honest, overall. There's a little ding down there. The wheel trims need to be refurbed. They've lost all their colour. There's a bit of a scuff on the front wing. Front bumper needs doing up. So there was a, I think what happened was, excuse me if I get this wrong, our subscriber dropped the car off. I think that they had a bump and they put it back together again themselves, but it's still gone on the register. We'll check that in a moment, because I haven't actually done that check because I wasn't massively bothered about it. We think it might be Cat N, but we'll hop on and do a check. So the 45,000 miles checks out okay, theft checks out okay, but there is one for accident. So let's have a scroll down and see what the score is with that. MOT history looks really good, looks really clear. There isn't a lot on there at all. Yeah, that mileage all okay on the graph. Damage, category N, so it was a Cat N write-off. Okay, so it will need to be advertised as Cat N, but I really can't see that making too much of a difference at this age, and with small autos being such in demand. As always, if you want to do your own car vertical check, there's a link in the description down below that gives you a nice discount. It doesn't really bother me too much, because we're getting down to that kind of price point where does it really matter? Yeah, so bodywork really isn't too bad. Inside it is mint. It's in really good condition, as you imagine, for 45,000 miles. And Honda stuff tends to wear quite well, doesn't it? All the plastics are good, all the seats are good. This is the big thing though, automatic. Automatic. It's a, excuse the sun, it's a little 1.3 automatic. CVT this is, so that's a constant velocity. Oh, you guys will correct me now, won't you? That means it's the belts job, doesn't it? Like the little Nissan I had. He's had a change from the original stereo, but we have got the original stereo as well. We've got aircon. We've got sport button on the steering wheel for that extra power. Imagine that just lets it over rev a bit, doesn't it? We've got electric mirrors. The Hondas tend to came with a bit more, didn't they? We've got some very optimistically red and sporty dials. I say optimistically, this actually only weighs about 800 kilos. And I think they put out about 70 horsepower, so it actually should be quite nippy. Starts up on the button there, it's 47,558. Starts as you'd expect a Honda to start, and idles like it as well. It really is super clean in here. Yeah, runs really, really nicely, I say. Couldn't ask for a better interior. We'll have a quick look under the engine bay. We'll have a look at the boot first, actually, because we've got some nice paperwork with this. Be a great little car to turn up at an event in, wouldn't it? Because I doubt you'll see another one. Some of the modern classic type event. So we've got the original tape cassette player, which I've just shown the young lady next door who doesn't even know what a tape cassette is. They've got some of the original paint here. They've actually got the proper Honda CVT gearbox fluid as well. Got the original Honda folder. Got a pretty full service history. We've got services 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004, 2008, 2009, 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 19, 20, 21, 22. That's a nearly full service history. A load of other books here. Oh. Got the proper owner manual. This is cool. I'm liking all this original stuff. I think I'd be half tempted to put the Honda cassette player back in myself, to be honest. And then we've got loads of receipts for work that's been done, including this one here for an additive that previous owner put in, that he reckons transformed the change of the gearbox. Well, not the change of the gearbox, the smoothness of the gearbox. So he's left that with me so he can recommend it if somebody else has the same thing. But yeah, well, we've got some more Honda logo stuff here, look. A brochure. I mean, this is a really cool, cheap way to get into having a, you've got the spare key there. It's a really cool, cheap way to get into having a little retro motor, isn't it? So on here we've got a little 4-put 1300 Honda engine. Like I said, I think it puts out around about 70 horsepower, which, like I say, with a curb weight of about 800 kilograms, what is it here? 760 kilograms, is that it? It's going to be quite a nipper. I haven't actually taken it out for a spin on the road, so we'll have to do that together in a minute. But coolant levels where it should be. It's nice and dry everywhere in here. Obviously being a Cat N, there wouldn't have been chassis damage, it would just been like the bumper and the headlights kind of thing. It's one I've got to be really careful I don't go crazy on again. I could be very tempted to refurb the wheel trims, which I think I'll probably end up doing anyway, and then because I've already been provided with the rattle cans of the correct paint, tidy up the front corner of the bumper there, maybe just across here, maybe leave that bit there, tidy up the corner of the bumper here, probably leave the ding over there and do the little bit on the arch down here. But I'm pretty confident it's selling a heartbeat as it is anyway, just because that market's so buoyant at the moment. Anyway, I'm dead keen to see how this drives. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, so let's go for a spin. Feels sprightly away from the line. There we go, we're up to 50 mile an hour, 55 mile an hour. About 2,500 revs. Right, here we go, let's plant our foot. Just like normal CVTs, there's a lot of noise. It's not really going anywhere. We're up to 60 mile an hour though, or were. Same as all the other ones, you're actually better off just keeping a consistent pressure on the pedal rather than pushing the pedal to the floor. You don't get all the dramatic revving, but you still tend to make the same kind of progress. Well, let's put it through some corners. See how we do there. Oh, it feels a bit wallowy. Yeah, it's got quite narrow tyres. Suspension setup quite soft. Not the first in handling, that's for sure. But I kind of didn't expect to be. Yeah, you are. And there's not a lot of bolstering to the seat, so you kind of want to slide out the side of the seat as well. And again, you've got to look at cars for what they were designed. This wasn't designed to do the Nürburgring, was it? This was designed to potter around, and for that purpose, it works extremely well. Now, the owner said if you push it hard, you'll get mid-30s miles to the gallon. On a run, you can get into the 40s. But it's like all these small automatics, they have to work that hard. They never come out with massive MPG. And streamlining his push bike, try and get as fast as he can down the hill. It's a 30, son, you're speeding. He looked back, saw the little Honda logo and thought, that is something I've got a good chance of burning off. So I hope you enjoyed this little bit of retroness. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up so I can recommend it to other people, and please check down below. Are you subscribed? About 60% of you are not subscribed to the channel. So you can do me a big favour and hit that subscribe button down below, and then it'll notify you when videos like this come out in the future. As always, massive thanks for watching, and see you again soon.